Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel, Girlfriend's Guide to Starting Over After Divorce, where I post tips and tools for surviving divorce and many other relationship topics. Today, I'm going to share how gratitude can help us through these hard times. To be honest, I thought about whether or not it was a good topic to discuss this week under the current circumstances. But after some self-reflection to deal with my own experience of these events unfolding, I realized that this is a perfect time to talk about gratitude because it's so easy to focus on being grateful when things are good in our lives, right? But when a crisis happens, practicing gratitude or seeing any positiveness in the event can seem next to impossible. But learning to consciously be a grateful person will be an invaluable practice that will help you to find hope and healing throughout life's difficult times. Because having an attitude of gratitude can help us to look at our lives through an entirely different perspective. It enables us to see both angles in the event instead of purely focusing on the pain and the temporary circumstances. So you not only see the experience and the painful event, but you're also able to catch the underlying positive messages attached. And you will naturally already know that there's a lesson behind the event, even though it may be difficult to feel this way at first. So when a disaster happens, you might not feel it, but you know that you can begin to say to yourself, even though I don't feel this way right now, soon enough, I will be able to see the valuable lessons this crisis is offering me. Now, I know that right now, many of us are going through a difficult time. There's so much tension all around, whether it's separation, divorce, or the current events in our country. It can seem impossible to foster gratitude right now, but we all want to do better, right? At the end of the day, we all want to learn how to handle difficult times in the most effective way for us, correct? So if you commit to learning how to live with gratitude, especially during these trial times, you will find that your life will dramatically change and your efforts towards this step will be so worth it. So there are a slew of reasons to bring a gratitude practice into your life. I'm going to just cover a few that I feel are the most important. So the first is gratitude helps you build resiliency. People who express gratitude are likely to bounce back quicker from setbacks or events such as a divorce. They also tend to be more proactive at seeking ways to heal and therefore have no problem seeking a therapist or a coach to deal with their emotions or asking for help in general when they need it. When you foster an attitude of gratitude, you become accustomed to seeking growth through the stressful times. So you're always looking for that silver line in the events. So again, to stick to the topic, if you're going through a divorce, you will easily be able to shift out of that victim mentality and get to those really key questions like, what can I take responsibility for? Or what lessons is this experience trying to teach me? The second reason why gratitude is important is because gratitude helps you to feel abundance as opposed to scarcity. It is also almost impossible to be in a grateful and negative state of mind at the same time. You can be grateful and fearful at the same time, for example. When you're in a state of fear, you're in a state of lack. When you're in a place of gratefulness, you're in a state of abundance. Having a gratitude helps you to appreciate what you have instead of always worrying about what you don't have. So you always feel abundant. The third reason why I think gratitude is important is because it helps shift your focus to the good. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard at one point or another the term, what you focus on, you attract more of, or what you focus on expands. This is because when you get into the habit of looking for the good, your brain automatically starts to scan to find more of what you're focusing on. So if you're feeling grateful, you will automatically see more positive things to feel grateful for in your life. And obviously the same in reverse. If you're constantly thinking negative thoughts, you're going to attract more negative circumstances. The fourth reason why gratitude is important is because it strengthens your relationships. Showing appreciation to friends and loved ones makes them feel more important and valued, and therefore it's going to help you develop a deeper connection with them. And the fifth reason why gratitude is so important is because gratitude is known to greatly help improve self-esteem. When you're a grateful person, you tend to stop comparing yourself to others and you feel grateful for what you have. And you're genuinely able to be happy for others' successes, which teaches you to be kinder and more empathetic, and people are naturally drawn to this positive energy. So here's the kicker. Don't just practice gratitude, practice radical gratitude, which simply means being grateful for the good and being grateful for the bad. Being grateful for the good is pretty simple, right? All it takes is a conscious effort to look for good things. So you can look around and name several good things that you've noticed throughout your day, for example. Then there's being grateful for the bad, which is entirely different. Here you're going to look back at your life and think of a negative experience that occurred that really shook you. And then look yourself now and see how you were able to get through that event, and you're here to survive. So you look back at the event not to relive it, but to see how far you've come and how you're a different person for it now. When you remember how difficult life used to be during that time, you set up a detailed contrast in your mind that allows for overflowing gratefulness. Zen Buddhist and spiritual leader Thich Nhat Hanh has a famous quote that summarizes this, and you've probably seen it many times before at this point. And it says, "No mud, no lotus." Without suffering through the mud, you cannot find the happiness of the lotus. And without suffering, there could be no understanding or compassion. I know that for me personally, prior to my divorce, there were many ways this quote rang true for me. There were many things that I took for granted, even simple things. A simple example of this, I noticed beautiful things, yes, but not to the level that I saw them after my divorce. I may have noticed a beautiful flower, for example, when in passing. But after I got divorced, I really noticed it. I really took those flowers in. The same thing with trees, with the moon, with the ocean. I inhaled it. I took it all in. I savored it. Because it is in trial times or times of uncertainty that you begin to see that everything you have, everything that's around you, everything that you count on can be taken away just like that. And so it becomes much harder to take it for granted. And once you have gone through some type of despair and suffering, you learn to pay more attention to what you have, and you realize that you're not indestructible, and therefore you feel gratitude and appreciation. If you take these events, whatever they are, and find the good in them, they can really change your life's perspective if you let them. Okay, so how do you begin? There are so many ways to cultivate a gratitude practice. It is truly amazing. I started Googling this and I couldn't believe how many resources there are out there. It's so easy. But I'm going to just give you a few simple ways that you can begin this today. The first one, obviously, is to commit to a daily gratitude practice and tell a friend about it so you can hold yourself accountable. And remember, you can start small and then grow from there. So you can start off by making it a point to consciously look around every day and find things to appreciate. Remember, this is nothing complicated. It could be your friendly neighbor that always waves at you with that big smile in the morning, your child playing with that toy. It could be a piece of art on the wall at work that you never noticed before, or that rainbow the other day in the sky, or the full moon. You get the picture. But again, don't just notice it and say, oh, how nice, and dismiss it. Take it in. Notice it for several seconds. If you're at the beach and you're watching the waves crash over the rocks, really look at this, really look at them and listen to the sounds. If you see a sunrise, really let it envelop you for several seconds. That's where the magic happens. That's gratitude. Another way that you can practice is journaling 3 to 5 things that you're grateful for every evening. So to have a journal next to your bed and write 3 to 5 things every evening. But I want to make it a point to say that this is not like a shopping list. You want to actually recall the feeling, the emotion. I'm grateful for that breeze on my face this afternoon when I was really hot. So picture it. Or that cashier for being extra kind to me, even though I forgot my wallet and I had a whole aisle of groceries. Your friend who stayed up with you while you were crying last night. This is where the energy is, recalling the emotions. It's so powerful. And I also want to make it clear that when I talk about focusing on the good, I'm not talking about pretending that the bad things are not happening. There is a term that I've been hearing called superficially positive out there. And I know that some coaches will guide you to this. I don't personally subscribe to this. Crisis happens. You have to allow yourself to feel the pain and to go through the grieving process, right? Otherwise, you're just covering things up. And that is disastrous, in my opinion. But what I mean is that you can learn, if you can learn to see both the good and the bad in the situation, you will be able to process your grief in a more effective way. In fact, studies have shown that individuals who can learn to look at the positive after of a terrible circumstance show that they express more closure and less unpleasant emotional impact than individuals who solely focus on a negative experience without seeing where they might be things to be grateful for. So this is a practice that you use parallel or as a part of your healing practice, I should say. A really good example, and again, to stick to the topic, is you have 2 individuals. One, they both went through the same experience. So the spouse had an affair and left her and her children, right? Had an affair, left her, left the children, abandoned them. It was horrible. She was betrayed in the worst way. This person suffered so much, and she was so angry and so devastated, rightfully so. But then she got caught up in the blame, and then that's it. She moved on, and that was the end of that. The second individual went through the same situation. She was betrayed. Her spouse had an affair, abandoned her and the children. But this person practices gratitude. So it was still a terrible experience, don't get me wrong. But this individual sought to find ways not just to heal, but to also grow from the experience. So not only did she heal, but she used this opportunity to find ways to see her own flaws and her own shortcomings. And she was able to own up to her mistakes so that she was able to find her best self. This individual was able to take it all in and appreciate the lessons behind this event instead of just living with anger and misery for the rest of our life or being stuck in that blame mode. Very different perspectives, right? It's amazing what can be achieved through this simple practice. This life event, this crisis, whatever you're going through right now, whatever you're finding yourself in, has the ability to teach you so many lessons if you let them. And one of them is how to find more gratefulness in your life and how to take things less for granted. I mean, let's face it, there are always going to be things, events, crises that knock us off our feet. But we don't have to let these cause havoc for the rest of our lives. You can learn to shift your perspective and turn these events into something invaluable that serves you for a lifetime. So putting gratitude practice into your life can be the first step to help you achieve that. So that is my rant for today about putting a gratitude practice into your life. Thank you so much for watching this again. Again, please feel free to leave me a comment, and always check below the video to find resources and links regarding the topic at hand. And don't forget that there is a free mini program below, 6 ways to survive divorce grief. So please feel free to do it at your own leisure. And again, thank you, and I will see you next week. Take care.